Hi guys, welcome to GR Rideshare Adventures. Just a quick intro for the episode today. It's not a traditional GR Rideshare episode. We interviewed Steve from CarStar Impact of Cascade. He's a body shop guy, and we just kind of go over some things, some tips and tricks to keep your car, at least the outside, in tip-top shape. There is a special starting today for Steve at the CarStar Impact of Cascade. It's called aquapel. It's basically like Rain-X on crack. For $25, it takes about 15 or 20 minutes. You do have to make an appointment, but they put a sealer like on your windshield, and the rain just, snow, rain, everything just falls away. So it's $25. We'll post that when we post the episode, but give him a call and he can get that taken care of for you. It's a good episode, like I said, just tips and tricks of everything. And let us know what you think. Thanks again for listening, guys. We really appreciate the support. Again, our standing offer is a free t-shirt of your choice, or of our logo on a t-shirt, if you give us a review on iTunes and send it to us. So take a listen, let me know what you think, and have a great day. Welcome to GR Rideshare Adventures. We are joined here by Steve from CarStar. How do you say your last name?
Sawicki.
Sawicki. Is that Polish?
It is very much so.
Okay. Do you go downtown for Polish Fest and all that stuff? Or
actually, I have never been down there.
Yeah, it's not your scene?
No. Usually the fall, I'm out hunting or fishing somewhere.
Okay, cool. So this podcast, what we're going to talk about is just he owns it, right?
Soon to be
manager.
Owner. Soon to be owner.
Okay, soon to be owner. Okay,
yep.
Is older owner retiring, or what? Or what's the deal with that?
I actually started working for a family about 3.5 years ago. They own several businesses. Body shop really doesn't fit their portfolio.
Okay.
I worked at another shop for 22 years, and
another body shop.
Yep, another body shop, and they just decided to get out of the business, and I've run it. So they approached me, and pretty soon the bank and I will own it.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Excited.
Very.
Married, have kids?
Yes. Married to my wife, Kelly. We started dating in, I think, 99. We got a blended family.
Okay.
So 24, 25, 36, and a granddaughter that's 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't look that old. It's not my blended. Well, I guess it is a blended family. They're all mine, but my wife, the oldest one, is not hers. And I always say I have a 21-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old. They're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, I had him when he was 19.
You had a built-in babysitter.
Yeah, not anymore. He's at school. So, so we just wanted to bring you in to talk about tips for maintaining your car. Now, I know you do the body work, but there's a lot to that. There's detailing and those kind of things. And I guess we have some questions, but this is kind of a free form. You can kind of, if something pops in your head, just let me know.
Sure.
If it's something you think that's important. So Jesper wanted me to do this first question. It says, start by differentiating a mechanic in a body shop. What parts of the car do you work on?
All right. Well, the simplest way to put it is we make them straight and shiny.
Straight and shiny.
Straight and shiny.
Do you guys fix frames too when they jack them up?
We do.
Or do you send them out to?
Nope. We do it all in-house. The cars are different. They're more unitized body cars, so different sections of the frame are welded in compared to the old station wagons that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Where it's a solid frame with a body on top.
Okay.
The pickup trucks still have that solid frame body on top, but most of the cars now are unitized body construction.
Okay. Because my oldest, my 21-year-old, terrible driver. I mean, he's wrecked like 3 cars. And one of them he wrecked. He bent it was like a Saturn. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I don't know what year it was. In the 2000s, I think. But he bent the frame, and they're like, it wasn't worth fixing. Now, something like that, is that unibody thing you're talking about, if it's in the 2000s or?
Well, everything with worth fixing or not boils down to the dollar amount.
Value.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the value. The insurance companies really know how to save their money.
Yeah.
So it's the value of the vehicle versus the value of repairs.
Okay.
And usually when you hit that 70% mark, that's when the insurance companies pull the trigger and say, we're not going to put any money to it. It's going to be a total loss. They get salvage value out of the vehicle. So when they actually buy the vehicle from you, pay you off, it goes to a salvage pool. They part out the vehicle.
Okay.
So all of that's figured in.
Yeah, I have a 2010 Pilot, and I had it for 6 months, and I did about $8,000 worth of damage to it, and they did not total it. I had an airbag go off and everything. They repaired it. And now, I paid 20 grand for it. Not brand new, obviously. It had 75,000, but clearly the value was a lot higher on that then.
Right.
I mean, I was like, oh, usually the general rule is the airbag goes off. That's it. But
you've got to, some of these BMWs, Audis we work on, they're $75,000, $80,000 cars.
Yeah.
So, you set an airbag off.
Yeah, it's $5 grand.
Yep.
Or I mean, that's what I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah. It's usually $3 to $5 grand for the system.
Yeah.
Because all the cars are, they're all tied in together now. So when you look at, sometimes the airbags won't go off if you don't have a seatbelt on. The car's smarter than you.
Really?
So they know that if you're not buckled in, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go flying forward, and that bag's going to set right then. So the car is actually smart enough to know who's in the seat, where they're sitting, what the seat position is, how hard the hit is. They have what they call pretensioners in the seatbelt.
Yeah.
So the pretension will go off, and maybe it doesn't need to set the bag. But the car can analyze all that in a split second.
Even mine's a 2010, even those still have that technology in there? Because that sounds like it's like expensive vehicle stuff.
The lesser costing vehicles are starting to get them more.
Okay.
The technology is constantly changing on these vehicles. They're getting harder and harder to work on. It's just no different than a mechanic shop.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can do brakes and I can change my oil in my Shut up. I blame you, you piece of crap Mazda. I did his brakes. It didn't go very well. Oil change, brakes, and I can do my transmission fluid and rotate my tires. That is about everything else is computerized, and I don't dare touch anything else. Yeah,
some of the Audis we work on, you don't even touch the brakes because the brakes are actually bled now by the computer. So with all the anti-locks and stuff like that, you can actually, the old let's put a C-clamp on it and crank the brakes in.
That's what we did. Yeah. That's what we did.
You can actually bend the vanes and fins in the anti-locks and have trouble with it.
Oh, my word.
So
you ruined my car. Thanks.
No. He's talking about the nice Audis. We still have the old style.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question that we had is the headlights. That is a huge thing. And even mine are starting to get a little dull.
Yep.
But to replace those, brand new, OEM, it's a couple $100 to get those new lenses in. Maybe more for I haven't looked at my Honda, but
yeah.
Does that stuff that you see in the store? I've never tried it. Now I went to when Southland, before they were bought out by Mister, they have a detail shop right there on 28th, and I brought it to them, not my Pilot, but my Honda Odyssey, and they did a great job, but it lasted a month.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of back to being cloudy again.
Yep. A lot of times what you're seeing is when the UV protection is starting to wear off on the vehicle.
Okay.
And look for a kit that, restores UV protection, stuff like that. A lot of these kits stick with the name brand, 3M, Meguiar's, stuff like that you can do at home with just a simple drill.
Okay.
There's some points where it's gone. You're going to get it back for 2-3 months, and then it's going to go away again.
So it's restoring the UV protection. Is that what it does?
What it does is actually it kind of films up the headlight, and a lot of that is the UV protection, that little coating on there that's starting to go away.
Okay.
And so some of these kits you actually sand the headlight down for 3,000 grit, and then you work different compounds into it. But all you're doing is you're just shining up plastic. And once you lose that UV protection on there, it's going to go away quicker.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's, race car drivers often talk about don't outdrive your headlights. And that's if you can't see, you can't react.
Right.
And that's the whole thing of, safety with cars is, good wipers and stuff like that.
So would you recommend if someone's having trouble with it just to replace the lenses? Is it, and then try to...
There's really no more lenses.
Well, replace the whole unit.
Yeah. Yep.
instead of trying to use those products because it'll get you some time, right?
Right.
But yeah, like I said, I spent $50 for Southland to do it, and it lasted a month, and I was a little disappointed.
It depends on your driving. My parents are 80 years old, and they don't like to drive at night. So it's like, why put money into the headlights?
Yeah. Well, I started buying brighter headlights to kind of combat that, and it did help because we drive at night all the time. So that's why I got it done, because I was like, man, I can't see the greatest. And I was happy for like a month, and then...
Try glasses?
Well, not like that. It's just, the crispness isn't there.
Right, right.
I mean, I'm not that old. I'm 42. You're older than me.
Let's not go there.
Do you, for those lenses, is it fine to get aftermarket for those, or do you recommend getting the OEM?
There's nothing better than the people that know how to build them.
Oh, for sure.
So
I mean, I
when
knew
you
the
look at
answer, but I mean, I feel like some stuff you can get away with the knockoff, and some stuff, Honda transmission fluid, you cannot put anything but Honda in there. It'll mess it up.
Unless Steve had the better idea, maybe.
What?
I don't know. Maybe he knows the trick.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he does for body stuff.
As far as headlights, some of the aftermarket, I know back 10 years ago with the Caravans.
Okay.
You'd put an aftermarket headlight in a Caravan, and there's different levels of aftermarket also.
Sure.
Yes.
There's higher grades. There's almost like gasoline. There's a low, mid, high grade. All
right.
depends on what you want to spend.
Okay.
But some of the Caravans, we would put the headlights in, we would adjust them, and they would slowly creep up. So the customer would come back in 2 weeks and say, man, everybody's flashing their brights at me.
Yeah.
And so the adjusters were bad at them.
Oh.
There's some insurance companies that they won't use an aftermarket light. They want to go OEM only.
Yeah.
And when I say OEM, it's original equipment manufacturer.
Right.
And, these cars are getting so technical. Once again, I'll go back to Audi. We had Audi in the shop, $1,800 for the headlight.
For one headlight?
One headlight.
Because they probably move, right?
Yep.
Oh,
it gets even better. They got 3 modules on them at $300 a piece. So, and then you have to actually hook it up to a computer, and you have to find out if all the modules are good. It has to reset itself. You turn the wheel, the headlight turns to shine, left or right.
So no fixing it yourself at home.
Self-leveling, yeah. Usually the guys that are spending, the 80, 90 grand on Audis, they're probably not going to
That's
fix
true.
it themselves.
They're not turning a wrench.
They don't care.
But even some of the cars now, like our buddy Nick, he's got an Arcadia. To change the bulb, he's got to take the wheel well cover off to get his hand in there to change the bulb.
Yes.
How dumb is that? At least my Hondas, it's tight. I mean, I'm about scratching my hand up, but I can still get in there and change them. But what about your van? Have you changed yours before?
I've never done it myself. No, I haven't. But on my sedans I've had in the life.
They've been pretty easy.
Well, no, I actually had to take the light off.
Oh, really?
Into it now.
Oh, maybe I've just been lucky. It's a Honda for you, man.
Hey,
gotta get a Honda.
Hondas are very well built cars.
I like my Mazda.
Yeah.
So before we move on, is there like a midway when it comes to the headlights, or is it just the right way to do is to just get a new headlight?
You can polish them. If you want to get out and polish
them.
Yeah,
like once a month or whatever.
Every
but
2 months.
It won't last. Okay.
But you got to understand, if he's saying replace with the original manufacturer, my car is 2010, so 8 years old. You put brand new ones in there, you got another 8 years.
Right.
Chances are you're not going to have that car. So it's just probably one change during a life cycle of a car, and you're probably good.
Right. The average age of a car in America is 11 years.
11 years.
And a lot of it in Michigan, you think, wow, 11-year-old car, it's nothing but rust and that. But you got to think nationwide.
Yeah,
and
it's an average.
Yeah, you look at Arizona; those cars last forever. Nevada, So Hurricane Harvey took out a bunch, but still, I think the average age is around 11 years old.
Yeah, cars are expensive. No one wants to go out and buy a car every 3 years. I don't.
They're terribly expensive, but the technology that goes in them, there's a great video online. It's 09 Chevy versus 59 Chevy.
Okay.
And it's a offset crash, I think, at 30 miles an hour.
Oh, okay.
And it's unbelievable because everybody would, talk about, oh man, they just don't make cars like they used to. They don't make them metal anymore. It's all about throwing the car away when it's done.
Yeah.
It's absorbing energy so the occupants don't feel it.
Right.
And it's a great video.
So my guess is the 59, the dummy just gets
steering wheel to the face, head up into the A-pillar.
Right.
It's crazy the difference between the two.
Those older cars are awesome. They're fast and loud and all that stuff, but safety-wise, yeah, you're right. There's got to be nothing.
Yeah.
Technology is so fast. I have a 2010, which to me doesn't seem that old, but I don't have Bluetooth in my car. Like, I tell my passengers I don't have an aux, but I do have one kind of hidden away. But it's just like, I don't know what Honda is. It just seems even though they're good cars, their technology just seems a little like a couple years behind some of the newer stuff. But
I think Honda and them realize that a lot of it with the technology that's put in cars, it's really distracting from the driver.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you look at the some of the stats out there, if you're on your phone driving, you have a 20 times better chance of getting into an accident. And everybody knows this, but 88% of us still do it.
I think it's just the law of averages. They're like, I never have an issue. So it's like one of those things where all of a sudden, Jesper, I don't think he was on his phone, but that night you almost hit that curb and you shared that video. We got dash cams in our car and he's just driving along and I don't know, he was looking at something. He's like, and he goes, it's hilarious.
I was actually answering you guys on the phone.
Oh, you were on your phone. Okay.
See?
I didn't know if you was or not.
That's where it stands right there. Just keep it up. That's fine. You'll come see me someday.
Right.
The joke is that Steve has a deer farm out in the back, and then he just before deer season, he'll let them all out.
Yes, it's a great idea.
The deer are running very heavily right now.
I think you probably know this stat. Isn't either Michigan or Kent County one of the top 5 states or counties in car deer crashes?
We had that great stat probably about 5 years ago, and I think there's somewhere in Pennsylvania that's taken that over.
Okay.
But don't get me wrong; they're still running, they're still moving very nicely.
We can get there again, right? I mean,
yeah, we try hard enough. I think we can.
Go. Steve's
so just for the fun of it, how many have you had this season?
Oh, jeez.
We were keeping track of it, and then finally we just lost track. We've been averaging probably 7 cars a week that are deer hit, and that's just one shop. And just out by the airport, one little old shop, and we're doing about 7 a week.
Wow.
We should say that the car star that Steve is with is the Impact Collision car star. What's it called? Car Star
Impact of Cascade.
Cascade, that's right, on 36th Street.
Yep, right on the corner of 36 and Craft.
36 and Craft.
So we're
just down from the airport.
Yep, just north of the airport.
Okay. Oh yeah, I go by near kind of. You got Gippers and those hotels, and then am I going the right way?
We're south of that.
Oh, yeah, okay. Don't you have a car tipped over in your?
We do. We have a car upside down, and
right.
it just simply says "Stop texting."
Where I work at 84th and Eastern on 76, there's a car star there that has the same thing. The car's tipped over. It's got a sign that, so that must be what they do.
Well, about probably 3 years ago now, my daughter was involved in a texting crash. She wasn't texting, and guy crossed the center line, caught her. She was in how do I describe it or say it? A piece of junk, and the car folded up, and she just had PLPD on it.
Yeah,
and we're just getting more and more texting and driving accidents, and so I thought, I'm going to do something. Got to get it out there, at least something.
Yeah.
Because people are getting hurt. And we don't ever want to see somebody get hurt.
Right.
So I bought her vehicle off, or I flipped it upside down and put the stop texting. And I've done it every year.
Okay.
And finally, I got the other car stars to join in.
Oh.
And
so you're the start of that.
So yeah. So everybody.
Because I do see that all the time on 76th Street. I'm like, oh dang, look at that car.
Yeah. It's definitely it's working because we've had. Parents bring their kids down. We've had people take photos of it.
It's pretty impactful.
Yeah.
Hopefully it stays.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, everybody, it's not going to happen to me. It's always somebody else that, you think that it's going to happen to.
Yeah.
So
I know New York's pretty strict on texting. In fact, my sister got it was $350 ticket. Get caught texting on your phone. And Michigan they have a texting law, but I don't think they
there's a texting law. And what's happening now is all the police officers are getting new guns,
radar guns.
Okay. And it can detect if you're texting.
Ooh.
But we've become so reliable on our phone. I mean, I found this place with GPS.
Yeah.
So what's the difference if I'm on my GPS or I've got my music or I've got,
I think they physically need to see you doing this in your hand.
But the difference is the same as everybody says with the drivers. If you're driving, because we have to use the app all the time, right? So when we're out Ubering, we use the app all the time. But the one thing is that you have it you don't have it in your hand.
Yeah.
And you have the phone, mounted to your dash, not on your phone, not in your hand, because you got to have the two hands to react. But there's so many drivers still that they don't have that. I almost every week we hear about somebody saying, oh, I had a trip. Somebody, they were just having it in their hand, the phone in their hand. Like, no, what are you guys doing? It's just, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's even worse when we're driving or you're taking a ride as a passenger in Uber and Lyft, and they're responsible for your life, and their phone is in their lap or in their hand. You're like, what the?
Well, and the way I look at it too is everybody around you is responsible for your life.
Yeah.
When you see that car drifting over and then the quick snap back, you know darn well they're on the phone.
Yeah. Ugh, it's frustrating. All right, we're going to move ahead. Next question, are the wax and products that they apply in the car wash worth the money? So I and Jesper have the monthly subscription. And to go along with that, is it bad to wash your car every day?
The best wash is a hand wash, of course.
Yeah.
But in the wintertime, I would suggest once a week to run through a car wash.
Okay.
Because you have all that salt gathering up.
Right.
And get it where it sprays from the bottom.
Yep.
The waxes, I really don't think too much of those, honestly. Yeah.
I figured as much, but it's okay to run it through every day. You're not taking the clear coat off or I mean, if you had put hand wax on, I bet running it through it every day is just going to break it down quicker. But I just wondered I always kind of heard my dad was an old school hand washing car, and he's like, don't take that car to the car wash. It's going to scratch it up and blah, blah, blah.
Well, it depends on the car wash too. I hate to say the old Shell stations where you'd go in there and those seem like steel bristles or rocking a car sideways.
It's never had any maintenance or cleaning done on it.
Right. I go out four-wheeling my Jeep and I go through a car wash just before you.
Yeah,
you're going to have some dirty rags slapping on the side of your car.
Potentially some rocks talking those rags.
That's actually a good point. I delivered for Amazon Flex, so it's kind of like Uber but for packages, and I had a day that it was raining and my Pilot was just covered in mud, and I went into the car wash and it was so covered that they couldn't read my plate, so they had to clean it off. And I never thought about that. Whoever came into the car wash after me, I mean, I went through twice just to get it all off. So
And that's what I noticed the car washes lately. You can tell when somebody's going through a car wash because it just doesn't seem to get every little nook.
You're right.
It just,
you know what? You're absolutely right. No, what I really loved about Southland on 28th, and I don't go to them anymore, is they have the detail shop, but they have a crew when you come out of the dryers, they hand wipe everything down. So they get those little nooks and crannies. But I go to Tommy's now, which I'm happy with, but you're right. There, in fact, when I went through with it super muddy, I had to go back and take all that mud off, and mostly on the tailgate. It's always somewhere on the back tailgate that it misses, but
yeah. Yep.
I don't know how they combat that.
Usually we see the car wash, and we do repairs for car washes.
Okay.
It's usually the antenna gets ripped off. We actually one time fixed 7 cars because the antenna got stuck inside the brush. So the next 7 cars that went through were nothing but scratching and slapping all the way down the side of it. It's the wipers. The wipers get grabbed. You know, just that little stuff that's sticking out. Like I said, my Jeep, I don't even run it through it because it just doesn't touch it. It hits the flares, and that's about it.
Okay.
So,
does it sit high?
Not too high,
Oh.
but it's just there's just a lot of little
Nooks and crannies.
that
Yeah,
it
and those
doesn't get
Jeeps.
into.
It's like a Wrangler? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you one of those Jeep guys that, you wave or do your little...
Oh, you have to.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
I think Snyder made it a law, actually, where you have to wave.
It's like the motorcycles, the Harleys, or, I mean, I guess other
The
manufacturers.
first time you're so excited. It's like, oh, that guy waved to me.
All right, next up, as far as detailing goes, what product do you guys use to get out stubborn stains? I have gray trim in my Pilot, and I've got leather, and I don't have a problem keeping that clean, but it's the trim where people walk in, and I'll wipe it down with, the products I use, and I get the surface dirt, but that really stubborn dirt, I have not been able to get that out.
You got to take an actual brush to it.
Really?
Yeah. So like a little scrub brush that used to scrub your tires with and stuff like that. Have a separate brush so it stays clean.
Okay.
And then just good old fashioned soap and water. And that'll get inside those cracks and grooves.
Okay. Yeah, it just feels like it's, again, gets the surface, but it just kind of those stubborn stains. And
a lot of where the armrest is and stuff like that, or in the center or on the doors. I'll actually take Lysol wipes.
Okay.
And try a little section first. Just make sure that bleach doesn't, do anything to your interior.
Right.
Try a little section where you don't see.
Yeah.
And then take that across it.
Okay.
Works out. I like it very well.
Okay. And you do guys have a detail shop at your place?
We do.
Okay.
We don't push details. 'Cause we're a body shop.
Yeah.
And our main job is to create dust, it seems like, because we're constantly sanding on cars. So it's hard to detail a car.
Yeah, you almost need a separate bay that's completely closed off.
And we do have a separate bays for our detailing, but still, it's I try and stick with what we do best.
Okay.
We straighten the cars, we paint them, make them shiny, make them straight again.
Okay.
But then you detail them at the end because...
Yes.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to do that.
Yep.
And then I had another question about smells. I don't know if you guys do anything with that or not. If someone comes in and they're like, "Oh man, I just can't get let's say smoke for whatever reason," they're selling the car.
Yep.
Smoke's tough to get out.
Yep.
Is there a machine or?
Yeah, we use what they call an ozonator.
Oh, okay.
So we put it in the car. We'll put it in overnight. We'll set it at a sanitary for like 6-7 hours.
Okay.
And that'll usually get it out. Really, another good thing in the summertime is just fresh air. Just open up all the windows and let it sit with the windows open and just let the breeze blow through it.
Back in the day, I delivered pizzas in the winter when I would get laid off, and I never was able to get that pizza smell out of I had a Pontiac Vibe, which I wrecked, and it was my fault, and I absolutely love that car. I had like 250,000, ran like a champ. But I deliver pizzas in the winter, and one of the problems is the windows are always up because it's cold. But yeah, I could never, ever get rid of that pizza smell. I mean, I didn't really do anything like that, but I mean, fresheners, and I mean, it was fabric. I bet that makes a difference between leather and fabric car. I mean,
definitely.
I mean, it's going inside of the fabric. And
what we've noticed too with these fabrics, they'll even put a bottle of water on it and it sweats and it'll stain the fabric.
That's crazy.
So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll get that whole seat wet, and then we actually have what they call an air rake. So we hook it up to our air compressors, and you just basically rake the water out of it. And then the seat actually turns one color versus having that ring stain to it.
So you're actually changing the color? Kind of
evening the cover.
Evening it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Staining the whole thing so it looks the same. Yeah, I tell people if they're going to get into any kind of ride share, if they're going to buy a car, buy leather. I know it seems crazy, but it's so much easier to clean up.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, spills, just wipe it off. So
I have leather seats in mine. And one thing that I'm finding sometimes is the leather seats have these little breathable holes. Or whatever they are. I don't know. My leather seats at least have these tons of little holes in them. And once in a while, it can be hard to get the fluids, let's call it that, out of those. Any tricks for that?
Same thing, a brush.
Okay.
Just taking that brush and trying to get those needles down in there and pecking at it. Because a lot of the seats, like in my Silverado, it's got actually AC.
Okay.
So you push the seat and it blows cold air on your back and that. And so it's a very porous material to let the air through. So yeah, that's what we're running into on these interiors.
Okay.
But definitely, I would guess on that, the brush for the plastic and the brush for the leather should be different. My guess is you want a little bit more pokier. Is that the word for the tougher surfaces and more gentle? I guess more aggressive.
Just
more aggressive.
A firm brush versus softer brush.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Is there anything that and I'm just jumping a little bit.
No, go ahead.
Anything talked a lot about the things that you can do in the shop. Anything for the interior of the car that you think that our owners can do themselves inside to kind of keep the new car smell longer, if you will?
Well, the new car smell is just simply your glues. That's what new car smell is.
I'm sure.
It's all the glues that they use for the jute underneath the carpet and stuff like that. So the key is, like with all these salt and stuff like that, is having good mats. And I personally think the best mat is a WeatherTech.
Yep. Okay.
They go way up on the side with that tunnel where your feet are by. They go up underneath the pedals. They'll actually drain where they drain outside that sill plate. So they're custom made for each car.
Aren't they made in Michigan too? I swear they were.
I don't know about that.
Okay. I have WeatherTechs in my wife's car when I was Ubering with them. I liked them, but again, it's one of those things that I haven't put enough elbow grease in. It's trash now. That's her car. I don't take care of it. It's a dump. But yeah, she's not here.
Be nice.
Yeah, I know. She's. I think she's upstairs. I think she's home from the gym. But before, you would spray them out. I'd bring them to the car wash because just power wash them out. But if there's still stains in there, it gets most of it out. But
yeah.
What about that like foam stuff? I know that stuff you put on tires to shine it. We use that at work. It actually works really good for anything black. It kind of just drips the dirt off, and
it's.
He hates it.
Extremely slippery.
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
if you put
That's
anything
true. If
like
you put it on
Armor
the
All
mat.
or anything like that on the mat, you're
risking
you'll
it.
be seeing me shortly. That's for sure.
So put it on. No problem at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just had trouble again with that stubborn because I always kept my car clean. We, go to the car wash, spray them out in the winter and everything. And over time, it would those stubborn stains that just wouldn't come out.
Yeah.
But
It's better on the mat than in the carpet.
True.
Yeah. Because the salt they're using now, it forms like just a hard shell crust to it. And we struggle. Tried to do it in a shop truck and we couldn't
Trying to get the carpet up.
Yeah, we went over and over it. We actually they make carpet dyes now where you can actually spray your carpet to match the color it's supposed to be.
Oh.
So, and a lot of used cars, that's what they do. They grab that aerosol can and they spray around the edges where all that salt crust was and looks great.
If it works, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, the salt is still on there, though.
Right.
I don't understand people that don't have mats in their cars. Like, who drives around without a mat in their car?
Yeah.
Hey, I saw people drive the other day without threads on their tires. Come on.
Well, that happens all the time.
Do you think they're gonna put mats in their cars? I don't know.
My Pilot came with custom ones that say Pilot on them, and they're not as nice as the big lip, but it does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have little snap downs and.
Well, you can thank Toyota and Prius for that one.
Yeah.
Because remember when the lawsuits were going on with Prius where the mats were
moving.
catching.
So the snap downs is a new thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was major lawsuits.
I remember
over
that.
So
was it true though? Like, because I remember that 911 call, that guy in that Prius, and I listened to those. I'm like, why don't you just turn the car off?
Yeah, put it neutral.
Put it in neutral. Like, I'm listening to this 911 tape. I'm like, I get it. It's scary. I'm sure it's absolutely frightening. But after your initial freak out for 3 seconds, you're like, oh, I'm just going to put it in neutral or, do what. I don't care if the tranny drops. I'm going to slam the sucker into park or do whatever. It was just funny. The guy was freaking out. I felt bad for him, but I'm just like, duh.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't know if the mat thing was, I know there was a lawsuit, but I heard that it was kind of like just operator error, but
it sounds like a lot of it was,
Okay.
but then once again, you create something that the manufacturer has to add to the vehicle.
Right.
You know, there's so much safety items on cars. It's I don't know, I'd say ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, the weight that it adds to it too.
Right.
So
I'm too much in the other side of it now. Is it too much?
well, I mean, if you look in, what was it, 72, Honda made a Civic that would get 52 miles a gallon. But then all of a sudden you have to add a third brake light, and you have to add an airbag, and you have to have all these modules that control it. So the manufacturers are fighting with weight.
Mm-hmm.
So weight robs horsepower.
Yeah.
You're getting one or the other. And so when they're fighting to thin the metals out, you know, my car dents easier. It does, because they're thinning the metals out, and they're adding body lines to it to try and give it strength, but yet keep the metal thin. That's why you see all this aluminum. Jeep went aluminum. The F-150 went aluminum. It's all just to put everything on a diet so they can try and get that gas mileage up.
But that's what everyone talks about too. So what kind of gas mileage, especially for us, we drive all the time. And
Right.
I get I think I average 17.8 in highway and city. So that's not very good.
Yeah. And I mean, that's your bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, if you add another 2 gallons to that, I mean, would you add a cold air intake that would get you another 2 miles to the gallon?
I look at all those products on there, and I never trust any of them. I'm like, what if I put this fuel treatment in? I mean, can I get a little bit more? That's all I'm looking for, is just a little bit more, because it adds up over time.
Yeah.
But man, 2 miles extra, that would be sweet.
I remember when I grew up in Denmark, that was probably 25 years ago now, Fiat. In Denmark, you pay taxes based on the weight of the car. So you pay road taxes based on how much your car weighs, because they figure the more your car weighs, the more you use the roads. And so Fiat wanted to make a car that would fit into the lowest road tax in Europe. And I think it was called the Fiat Tipo, and it weighed nothing. It was ridiculous. I mean, they didn't even put power windows in it because that would weigh it down. And so it had manual windows. It didn't have a spare tire. It had a repair kit. You know, that kind of stuff all over again. Titanium steering wheel, right? And but they got it. They fit into the lowest weight bracket. And the thing is, they were just proving a point, right? Still today, there's like a 2-year wait for it, because they don't have the production capacity at all to make this car, and everybody wants it.
Yeah, I mean, look at the smart car over here. You know, people love that car, and
I see that thing, I think that's a death trap.
it's extremely well built.
Is it?
Yes, a very well built car.
It
but
would scare me to be in that thing.
nothing outdoes size and mass.
No.
That's all there is to it.
I feel like when your kid starts driving, you just get this big old boat and just like, there you go.
Yeah.
You know?
You tangle with a Suburban or a Escalade with one of those cars, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I see those and I'm like, nope, never. I would like to see you in that just for comic relief. But
No, I'll never get out of that one again. Just before we move on, a couple of times when you and I talked about this, Steve, you keep mentioning WD-40. What's the purpose of that? Because I'm just not bright.
Well, I had an old timer years ago, and Michigan is so hard on vehicles.
yeah.
I mean, they're going to rust out here with all the salt we have to put on the roads to keep it clean. I personally don't think we should salt the roads. Let's just all drive on ice. But that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
So this old timer said to me, he had an old Camaro, and I'm like, how do you keep this Camaro looking good? He said, all the oil that I have, used oil in that car, I dump it in it. I said, what do you mean you dump it in it? He goes, I dump it in the quarters, I dump it in the doors, I dump it everywhere. He goes, it makes a hell of a mess. He goes, but none of that water can get inside there.
Like underneath, inside?
Like inside the quarter panels, inside the doors,
okay.
Stuff like that. So years ago, I started taking WD-40. And when you look at your door shell,
mm-hmm.
so you have an inner shell, and then you have what they call an outer skin.
Mm-hmm.
So that outer skin comes down and it wraps around and it's pinched right on the bottom of that door.
There's a little, like a seam that goes all the way across.
A little lip right there.
Yeah.
And then they have weep holes in there. So what I do is I take that straw and I stick it up in that door and I just spray it, hose it down. So WD-40 is actually, I believe it stands for Water Displacement Formula 40.
Yep.
So it was developed by the military years ago, and guys were stealing it, taking it home because they realized it was great against rust. So we'll work on cars that are 2 years old and they start to form rust inside those doors. When you see a car rusting out, it's rusting from the inside out. So my theory is spray that with WD-40. It soaks down inside that door or wherever you can get that straw, up in the hood. You got all those little holes in the hood.
Yeah.
You got all those little holes in the trunk. You've got in the rocker panel if you lay on the ground and get underneath it. And I go through a can in the fall and I go a can midwinter.
Okay.
I usually do it at a gas station because it makes a mess. So my wife doesn't like it dripping all over the garage.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So,
but the trick is to get it inside the doors.
Yes.
Not just the door well, but inside.
The actual panel itself. Yep. And there's different access holes you can get into, stuff like that. But I had a, 97 Suburban that it went a long time. And I would, like I said, hose that. My wife's new Jeep, 16 Jeep. It's called a paraffin wax.
Mm-hmm.
It's, a lot of the foreign cars you noticed, when you pop the hood, they got that like smeary, creamy white all over the engine compartment.
Yeah.
That was a paraffin wax. So what I did with her Jeep is I actually put the paraffin wax in first. So it's runny and then it kind of sets up. And you can buy these kits. Usually Finish Master Automotive will have a kit that you can buy. So I put that paraffin wax in there and then I've been hitting it with WD-40.
Okay.
Jeeps are just naturally born to rust.
Yeah.
They the way they manufacture them. This is my 5th Jeep, and I kick myself every time. Oh, why did I buy this? It's all raw metal. They put it together and then they paint it.
Okay.
And behind those hinges, they have trouble getting the paint behind there. It's really thin. They start to corrode around the hinge. All of that fun stuff. Oh. And body shops hate working on rust.
Yeah. I'm getting a little rust on my Pilot on my tailgate. It's about this big now.
Okay.
It's right on the edge of kind of where the license plate goes in. So,
now a lot of people see their cars, especially on white, silver cars, you'll see it. There'll be little tiny rust specks.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the car rusting. That's actually something that's landed on a car, and it's usually heavier towards the back of the car.
Okay.
You'll notice it in the spring. Because there's several theories of what it is, but anyway, it's not the car rusting; it's the stuff landing on the car and rusting.
Yeah.
So they have stuff called clay bar. And what it does is like like the name says, it's a bar of clay.
Okay.
And you'll wipe that across that, and it'll actually break those contaminants off the vehicle.
Okay.
That's why a good wax before wintertime is what you want to do. Because that wax, it's still filling pores. Because everybody talks about clear coats on cars and how you don't need to wax them anymore. You still do. It's contaminants that land on the car. So if you've got a smooth, slick surface, it's going to roll off just like the water does.
Okay.
But if you've got something where that little contaminant can grip onto,
it's going to do it.
It's going to hang there.
But with the wax there, that keeps it from doing that.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So a good,
awesome.
Good Carnauba wax before winter hits is probably one of the best things to do.
Okay. Sounds good. I think we're going to wrap it up there. I appreciate it. And we'll get together and talk afterwards, get an offer together. I don't know what you and Jesper have dreamed up.
Steve is the one bringing it up all the time. So
well, we have a product called Aquapel.
Okay.
And it is it's Rain-X on steroids. And it will, I think we've done your car a couple times, right? It lasts about 6 months.
Okay.
And
I'm interested in that.
And I just put it on my truck, went down to Lake Erie this last weekend, pouring rain, and the harder it rains, the faster you drive, the better it works.
Okay.
So
he's not condoning driving fast. Or is he?
Well, I think the trick here, what we are thinking is because we're driving so much we're not drinking so much at night. We're driving so much at night.
Have another one, yes.
We're driving so much at night. When we're gonna get these heavier rain nights, like we had that last weekend.
Yeah,
it was just raining crazy much. The less we have to use those wipers, almost the better, because the wipers, when they go super fast, you almost can't see nothing. I mean, obviously you can, but it's
a distraction.
It's a distraction.
Yeah.
And so with the products such as Rainic, Aquapel, I forget the name all the time.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to use that. So
Yeah, that's we were coming back, hard rain. My brother-in-law was like, "Man, you just don't even touch those wipers, do you?" I said, "Don't need to."
So do they have to make an appointment for that, or is that something
Yes.
they can stop in, or how long does it take?
They can make an appointment. Actually, what you do is you get a free car wash. We clean the inside of the windows. We put the aquapel treatment on the outside of the windshield, and it's at $25.
Oh, wow. Okay. How long does it take?
Takes us probably 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, that's super quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys open on Saturday at all?
We are not.
Oh, boy.
We are fishing.
How about like 8 to noon, so us people that work during the week can go out there and get that done?
Yeah, you give us a call ahead of time.
Okay.
Tell them you want an aquapel deal, and we'll make sure that one of the bays are open and there's somebody there to wash it and take care of you.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by. Thanks for giving us those tips. And when we post that, we'll post that deal. And
put all the details and the phone number. Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Steve.